All right, friends, to wrap up our conversation on third-party obligations in a medical healthcare setting, we've looked at the Tarasoff case, duty to warn, duty to protect, how different states interpreted it to different extents, whether it was mandatory or optional, whether there had to be a specific threat and a clearly identified victim, or whether it was more expansive, like, for instance, Wisconsin, like a zone of danger, right? And I think a really good case study, which I wish we could do in class, but c'est la vie, is a case study on page, it's 107 in the new modifications. Please don't tell. And it just shows how third-party obligation extends outside of like a therapist and a person, right? Like we see this in the medical field, which is why I, included in here. The patient, Carlos, was a 21-year-old Hispanic male who had suffered gunshot wounds to the abdomen in gang violence. He was uninsured. His stay in the hospital was somewhat shorter than might have been expected, but otherwise unremarkable. It was felt that he could safely complete his recovery at home. Carlos admitted to attending physician that he was HIV positive, which was confirmed. At discharge, the attending physician recommended a daily home nursing visit for wound care. However, Medicaid would not fund this nursing visit because a caregiver lived in the home who could adequately provide this care, namely the patient's 22-year-old sister, Consuela, who in fact was willing to accept this burden. Nice read, Medicaid. Nice read. Their mother had died almost 10 years ago, and Consuela had been a mother to Carlos and their younger sister since then. Carlos had no objection to Consuela's providing this care, but he insisted absolutely that she was not to know his HIV status. He had always been on good terms with Consuela, but she did not know he was actively homosexual. His greatest fear, though, was that his father would learn of his homosexual orientation, which is generally looked down upon with great disdain by Hispanics. Would Carlos's physician be morally justified in breaching patient confidentiality on the grounds that he had a duty to warn? Ooh, ooh, ooh. So, doing ethics. A person has a responsibility, or a person has a right to keep their information about their healthcare medical condition private, right? And here, the physician is wondering, do I have to tell her in order for her to, like, right? She has to be able to give informed consent too. And there's an argument here that if she doesn't know that he's HIV positive, she can't really give informed consent because she would be agreeing to take on responsibilities that she wasn't aware of and risks, right? Following it, there's two good commentaries. This is me with the write-up, at least one of the main options. And I would like people to really have a good go. Whatever your instinct is, leaning one way or the other, really have a good go looking at both takes. Other examples similar to this in the medical field, often you'll have people who, like a husband comes in and tests positive for like HIV or something, and he's like, I don't want you to tell my wife. You can't tell my wife, right? Now, a healthcare professional is in like a dangerous way. He's like, well, are you? So the guy's been sleeping around. He's like, I'll stop, but I need to tell the wife on my own terms. Are you justified? Let's say you don't think that he's going to tell her, right? But maybe he's going to go sleep with her, right? Now you would be, by your negligence, your failure to act and use reasonable care, you would be endangering the health and even life of like his wife. And it shows you because like HIPAA says, no, you can't disclose someone's medical condition to like their family members, right? But if you were a healthcare worker, you would have rights to access that medical information. So, long story short, the end of this look at third-party obligation, have a look at the case, please don't tell. Read the commentaries, have a look. I'll try to put up one or two other options. And next week, we will be moving on to looking at healthcare as a right and healthcare costs. and kind of dip our toes in what's called distributive justice and topics therein. So have a great week and stay safe and healthy.